He hadn't held a woman in over 12 years. And now the first one to fall into his arms was nearly destroyed. Wyatt Kane had stopped expecting much from life a long time ago. His world was a cabin high in the Arizona hills, a rusted shotgun, and memories that weighed more than the stone around him. Days bled into nights. The wind spoke more than he did. Regrets? He carried them like bullets he could never unload. But then came that day. She burst out of the tree lean like the devil himself was snapping at her heels, barefoot, filthy, draped in nothing but what might have been a curtain or the ragged remains of a dress. Her arms were shredded, skin torn raw. Her lips cracked. Her eyes, God, those eyes, they looked like they'd crawled through hell and didn't expect to make it out. She didn't scream. Didn't cry. She just stumbled forward and collapsed at his boots. 2 whispered words slid out like smoke. Please, don't. Wyatt froze. She wasn't bleeding much on the outside, but her body shook like she'd been pulled from fire. He stepped closer. She flinched, just a twitch, but didn't back away. That's when the cloth slipped. And what he saw made his gut twist hard. Her back was carved up with pain. Burns. Raised welts. Letters. Symbols. Like someone had tried to write their name into her flesh with a branding iron. Wyatt staggered a step back. Not from the blood, not from the scars, but from the way she curled in on herself like a soul trying to vanish. And for one sharp, gutting second, all he could see was Tennessee. The war. The girl he'd failed. The one whose broken stare never left his dreams. He'd sworn back then, never again. So he did the only thing a man like him could do. He stripped off his coat, slow as winter settling on the plains, and wrapped it around her like a promise he didn't dare speak. No questions. No words. Just action. Then he lifted her, light as bones. And carried her away from whatever nightmare had clawed her up. For the first time in years, Wyatt Kane felt alive. But he thought the worst was behind her. He was dead wrong, the cabin smelled of wood smoke and dust. The night air outside had teeth, even in summer. He laid her down on the old cot near the back wall. She didn't speak. Didn't try to cover herself more than she already was. Just curled up tight, gripping that coat like it was the last thread holding her to earth. Wyatt didn't press her. Didn't ask. He'd seen enough broken things to know words could cut deeper than bullets. So he kept busy, the way men like him do. Lit a fire in the stove, not for heat, but for the sound. The crackle gave the place a heartbeat. She barely moved. Eyes flicked to every shadow, every creak, like she expected the devil himself to burst through the door. Even the whisper of wind against the shutters made her shudder. Wyatt brewed coffee. Bitter. Strong. Older than good sense. He sat at the table, sipping slow, eyes on the fire. Every so often, his gaze drifted to the cot. She was still breathing. Still gripping that coat. And maybe, just maybe, still fighting. Hours later, she stirred. Her head turned just enough for their eyes to meet. A flicker. A spark of something human under all that ruin. Wyatt nodded. A soldier's nod. A promise without words. She turned back to the wall. At dawn, her first word came. Water. He brought it careful. No sudden moves. She drank slow. Then looked at him longer than before. That look didn't thank him. Didn't plead. It just said one thing. I'm still here. He didn't know it yet, but that sip of water would set off a chain of fire no shotgun could hold back. She stayed quiet that day. Gave short answers when he asked simple things. Looked at him like he might vanish any second. Late afternoon, Wyatt sat on the porch whittling a busted chair leg. The sound of his knife against the wood was the only song in those hills. Then, soft steps. She came out. Sat on the steps. Silent for a long while. Then, voice low, like she was confessing to the wind. They used to make me clean their boots. Wyatt kept carving. Didn't flinch. Didn't ask. She spoke again. Said there was a camp, a mining camp, not on any map. A place where they broke people. Worked them to the bone. Punished them when they faltered. She'd run before. Twice. First time, they broke her nose. Second time, they carved those marks into her back. He didn't ask about the third. Some stories need stronger days. But as the sun bled out behind the trees, something cut the stillness. Hoofbeats. Fast. Coming up the ridge road. Wyatt stood, shotgun in hand. Motioned her inside. She moved quick, like a woman who knew danger's scent. The rider came alone. Didn't look like a cowboy. Looked like money gone sour, a banker who drank too much and blamed the world. Fancy vest, greasy mustache, smile that belonged in hell. He called her by name. Ellie rose. You got one chance to come quiet. Wyatt stepped off the porch. Voice like gravel. She ain't going anywhere. The man grinned. Not up to you, old man. Wyatt cocked the shotgun. Not aimed. Just ready. The grin slipped. But the man didn't draw. Just spat in the dirt, turned his horse, and rode. The look he gave as he left said one thing clear, he'd be back. And he wouldn't come alone. Wyatt sat out there long after sunset, gun across his lap, staring at the dark. Later, he scrawled a note for an old friend who carried a badge. Just in case. 3 days passed. Quiet ones. But the kind of quiet that hums with trouble. Wyatt didn't stray. Didn't hunt. Didn't chop wood. Just cleaned that shotgun like a man waiting for judgment. Then it came. Late afternoon. The air turned still. No birds. No wind. Just dust rising on the ridge. 3 riders. They didn't look like ranch hands. Didn't ride like law. One was the man from before. He didn't bother talking this time. Just barked it out. Step aside, old man. Wyatt didn't. The second rider shifted, hand sliding too close to his belt. Wyatt didn't wait. The shotgun thundered. The man screamed. Leg hit. Blood spilling into the dirt. The others froze. Didn't shoot. Didn't move. Then came a voice from the trees. Calm. Cold. Cut from iron. I'd think real hard about your next move. A figure stepped out. Badge on his chest. Rifle slung low. Abram Hale. Wyatt's old war brother. Now sheriff of the whole damn territory. He looked at them like they were already ghosts. She's under my protection now. They left. Slow. Cursing. Promising storms. Wyatt turned to Abram later. Asked how he knew. Abram just grinned. You send me a note that smells like gunpowder and regret, I figure it's serious. The cabin was quiet again after that. But not the same quiet. Not heavy. Not haunted. Just still in a way that let a man breathe without choking on his past. Ellie changed too. Little things. She stopped hiding. Sat at the table in the mornings. Drank coffee slow. Helped with firewood. Laughed once, soft, quick, but real. Wyatt noticed. The way she lingered by the window. The way color crept back into her face. The way he didn't know if he was saving her, or she was saving him. Maybe it didn't matter. One evening, she set wildflowers in a cracked jar by the window. Wyatt didn't say a word. Next day, he swept the porch clean for the first time in years. They didn't name what they were building. Didn't speak of love. But one night, over stew, she looked up and asked, "You ever think some folks ain't meant to save others, just to give them the space to save themselves?" Wyatt nodded. Because if he'd opened his mouth, the wrong words might have come. And that's how it went. Two broken souls. A cabin. A slow healing no preacher could write down. But I'll tell you something, out there, there's more Ellies. More Wyatts. Folks who think their story's done. Sometimes, all it takes is one act of grace. One moment of not turning away. So I'll ask you, who are you in this story? And if it meant something, stick around. Because out here in the West, stories don't end. They just ride on.